Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final Moody talk this month. We are talking about mindfulness this month, and it is one of the four main tenets, I would say, of DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's something that I practice myself and I love to share with others. And so for this last talk on mindfulness, I'm going to talk about the how skills. So last week we talked about, I'm just going to bring these up just as, a reminder and go back to this talk because it has a lot of great information. But taking hold of your mind with the what skills. So the what skills were observing, describing, and participating. And this week we're going to focus on the how skills. So how do we do that? How do we take hold of our mind mindfully, right? So we're going to do the how skills. Okay, so to start off, the how skills are non-judgmentally, one mindfully, and effectively. Okay, and let's get into a little bit of that, right? So, non-judgmentally, see, but don't evaluate as good or bad, just the facts. Accept each moment like a blanket spread out on the lawn, accepting both the rain and the sun and each leaf that falls upon it. Okay, so living in that moment as if you're lying in the sun, looking up at the sky and taking in what's around you. So that's what that means. Acknowledge the difference between the helpful and the harmful, the safe and the dangerous, but don't judge them. Okay, and I know this sounds a little like, I don't know, a little crazy because, like how can I not judge my judginess, but we'll get into it. We'll get into how to practice these kind of things. Acknowledge your values, your wishes, your emotional reactions, but don't judge them. When you find yourself judging, don't judge your judging. So it's getting away from that negative talk we can have with ourselves. Like, oh, I was just so judgy then. And you're like, how bad am I that I just was so judgy? Well, now you're judging yourself for being judgy. And it's just this loop that just keeps going and going and going, right? So that's what non-judgmentally means. One mindfully. Rivet yourself to now. Be completely present to this one moment. So being in the moment and just focusing on what is right in front of you. Do one thing at a time. Notice the desire to be half present, to be somewhere else, to go somewhere else in your mind, to do something else, to multitask, and then come back to one thing at a time. So it's like when your mind is running, it just keeps running and running and running, and you're adding more things to it, everything starts to get kludgy. If we can step back and notice what's in front of us and then what's in the moment, we can better understand what's happening, right? And then let's see. Do one thing at a time. It says, when you are eating, eat. When you are walking, walk. And that kind of thing, right? So let go of distraction. If other actions or other thoughts or strong feelings distract you, go back to what you were doing again and again and again. So it's just saying, like when you start to get distracted, notice you're getting distracted. And with that, stepping back and going right straight to the moment again, to the one thing that you're doing. Okay? Effectively. Be mindful of your goals in the situation and do what is necessary to achieve them. Focus on what works. Don't let emotion mind get in the way of being effective. So now if you don't know what emotion mind is, we go into that in the second Moody talk on mindfulness. What is wise mind? So for wise mind, we have reasonable mind and we have emotion mind. At the center of the two is wise mind, when you can bring the two together and have both, completing the, walking the middle road. Okay? So don't let emotion mind take over. Play by the rules. So playing by the rules, I think it depends on different situations, right? But I think we all understand rules of situations, right? Act as skillfully as you can. Do what is needed for the situation you are in, not the situation you wish you were in. That's really important. Not the one that is fair, not the one that is more comfortable. It's the one that it's being in that moment, knowing that you can't change it to be for yourself, or that kind of thing. Like, you have to look at the situation and do what is necessary for that situation, not what is better, not what is what will make it easier for you, more comfortable. It's what is necessary in that moment. And I think that goes back to the playing by the rules. A lot of this has to do with interpersonal communication, which we will do a whole month of. So, but that's what I think this effectively really works better with, is when we're talking about interpersonal communication. So this is kind of setting up that cornerstone that I talked about for all the other parts of DBT that we'll be talking about, like distress tolerance, emotion regulation, and interpersonal communication. Okay? So I have some examples of each, how to practice these skills. So non-judgmentally, replace judgmental thoughts and statements with non-judgmental ones, such as describing the facts of the event or situation only what you observe with your senses, describing the consequences of the event, describing your own feelings in response to the facts. But remember, emotions are not judgments. Emotions are emotions, like happiness, sadness, all that kind of stuff. They're not judgmental. They're what you're feeling, what's coming from a situation. Okay? Observe your judgmental facial expressions, postures, and voice tones, including your internal voice. So that's noticing when you're starting to think of those judgmental thoughts, how your body language changes, right? And it does. It changes for any emotion and any like judgments that we make. We then tend to create these body expressions that we use that people can read, right? Then it says, change the judgmental expression, postures, and voice tones. So stepping back and, being more neutral in the situation, not showing people that you're judging them, right? Write out a non-judgmental description of an event that occurred. Stay very concrete. Only write down what you observed. And another one is, when being judgmental, practice half smiling and or willing hands. So we'll talk more about those as well. But half smiling is when you want to step back, like let's say you're feeling judgmental and you want to change your expression and you want to change what you're feeling, stepping back from that judgment, right? DBT has this like kind of skill that says, half smiling, where you automatically make yourself just a half smile. It doesn't have to be a whole smile like this. It's just a changing the way that you're using your face, right? And a lot of times people say when they smile, they start to feel better. And then the willing hands is kind of just holding them out. Like, I'm here to accept what you want to say and what you want to do in this moment so that we can figure this thing out, right? So if you hold out your willing hands, you're signaling to another person that you're open to working with them, right? So that's non-judgmentally. Then we have one, mindfulness. So be aware when making tea or coffee. Describe each movement and step that you do to create that drink. As you make your drink, notice your hand lifting the kettle, pouring the water into the machine or over the tea. Breathe deeply at the start of each step. So this is just a way of really just bringing yourself into the moment, but being just observing and feeling what is happening in this one part of your life, right? Be aware while cleaning your house. This one actually I do. Divide the work into stages, such as sweeping the floor, washing down the countertops, like spraying the cleaner and wiping it away. Move slowly and deliberately. If you are placing a book on a shelf, Read the title, feel the cover on your fingertips, and feel the weight of the book before you put it on, wherever you're planning on putting the bookshelf or whatever. Doing these things slowly and breathing as we start new parts of what we're doing, new steps, it helps us to, stay grounded in the moment. Okay, be aware while taking a bath or shower. Allow yourself more time to be deliberate with the steps you take. Slowly wash your hair with shampoo and take more time to wash it away. Be non-judgmental of your body. It's very important. And notice how you clean each body part. Are you using a washcloth or rubbing a piece of soap across that body part? Notice your breath while you wash the soap away. Or, shaving. Like if you shave in the shower, notice each movement you make. If it's your legs, how you're shaving it up your leg. And, and then redoing the step by moving over a little, right? Same with your face. You're shaving one part and then you move over to shave the next part. So doing this slowly and deliberately so that you're staying in the moment. And this practice starts to really get you into that mindful moment in your life. And again, is that stone, that cornerstone for a whole building of coping skills. And then finally, we have effectiveness. This one is, basically it's just saying, whatever you're doing, make sure that you're doing it as effectively as you possibly can in the moment. Not trying to do it different, not trying to do it better, but doing it the most effectively you can. Observe when you begin getting angry or hostile with someone. Ask yourself, is this effective? So this feeling of anger, is it effective for the moment in this communication with someone? If you're showing them that you're angry and you're feeling angry, are you really doing your best to make the most effective decisions for the two of you in the situation? Observe when you start wanting to be right. Give up being right and focus on being effective. Notice if you are willing to be effective in a situation. Are you working towards effectiveness, or are you just being the winner of the situation, right? Drop willfulness and practice acting effectively instead. When feeling angry or hostile or like you are about to do something because you want to be right or win, practice willing hands, like I'd shown you. So stepping back, deciding, it isn't effective for me to be trying to push an agenda, right? And what can we do physically to get us more into this mindfulness, to step back from us trying to do more than what is necessary or try to change an aspect of something we're doing for our own good. Again, I feel like these like house skills are definitely more towards interpersonal communication when you're in situations with people. So that's the house skills. And I am really excited of having done the mindfulness month. I do hope you will go back to the others if you haven't seen them, because there's a lot of great information in there. And like I said, mindfulness is pretty much the cornerstone of building a whole space for yourself when it comes to learning coping skills for things such as distress tolerance, emotion regulation, and interpersonal communication. So next month, I think I'm going to be asking everyone what they want to do for the next month. But, like I said, there's distress tolerance, emotion regulation, and interpersonal communication. And if there's one that you really want to hear about, put it in the comments, or send me a DM or an email at info@myMoodyMonster.com. I will get it there. And so I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And if you have any questions, again, about mindfulness, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much. Bye.